And welcome back to NOLA Motorsports Park. This is Prep Recruiting Insider PRI. I'm the coach of PRI, Rick Gailey, along with our Prep Recruiting Insider, Mr. Renee Nato. And for the Lamarck Ford Legend of the Game, it is a special, exciting honor for me to introduce Corey Webster to you, formerly of St. James High School when I was coaching there, the LSU Tigers and the New York Giants. He is a true Lamarck Ford legend of the game. Go see the Lamarck brothers at the big store on Williams Boulevard. Go see one of the Lamarck brothers, Dennis, Timmy, Tommy, or Ronnie, and they'll put you in the car that is best suited for your needs. That's what they specialize in doing. Here at NOLA Motorsports Park, Corey, I'm just so excited to have you here today. We had a lot of great times together, not just with you as a player, but your sisters transferring to St. James, one of the first families to come back when I first started coaching there, and your mom and dad being, so what a great story that is at St. James. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, Corey, it's so much to talk to you about. Super Bowls, All-Americans. In fact, there were 66 All-Americans at LSU, 11 two-time All-Americans, and you're one of them. Wow. You know, when you were recruited by Nick Saban as a wide receiver, he said that he saw your basketball skills that would translate into being a cornerback. I want to ask you a question. Since this is a recruiting show, can you tell us how the recruiting process went in football, but you averaged over 20 points a game, all district MVP in basketball. You had a chance to play basketball as well, so talk about those two, football recruiting, and what was the options as a basketball player?
Football, obviously the story is, here now, but basketball, Coach Saban never came to a football game. If you remember down in St. James, he came to all our basketball games, so he was able to see some of the things that I did on the basketball court and like the way they translate with the, the quick hips and being agile on your feet and stuff like that to the cornerback position. He started me off at receiver, but then gave me an option, to be able to translate to the cornerback position, but I was able to get, recruited by a few different teams and able to play basketball. A couple of teams were going to allow me to play both, like the Southern Mississippi's, Nebraska. Also got a couple of calls from UMass, and John, I don't want to lie to you at the time, I don't want to mistake, I forget who the coach was at the time, but I went up there and visited those guys as well. There was a couple of teams that were interested. LSU actually, for a time, when Coach John Brady was the coach, he was going to allow us to play both, just that we couldn't work it out and end up just playing football.
And one of the things that he could see was your leadership potential on the basketball court. You can't always see that in football with the number of players and being so far away. But at St. James, led the team to a state championship. Had a good bunch of players, not great players, but a really neat group. And tell us about winning a state championship in basketball.
Well, we had, it was a senior season. We had a lot of things going on that senior season, so it was good to be able to get that group of guys to come together and, and gel for the goal at the end. We had a chance to, I think we went 24-6 that season, you know what I mean? So never had happened before at St. James, so it was a blessing to be able to, like I said, pull together all guys, focusing in on one goal and be able to bring a championship to St. James.
And you made the big assist at the end of the game to beat St. Bernard.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Being able to, trusting your teammates, give it off, and I think it was Stevenson Jones at the time, finish it up with 2 points and win the game.
Now, Corey, you judge, a lot of people judge, and the right way to judge a cornerback on when he's tested, how he steps up. You are the all-time leader at LSU in pass breakups with 62, and you had 32 in 1 year. Was a lot of that film study that you knew what the receiver was doing, or was it a lot of that natural instincts to you?
No, I can't just say natural instincts. I was blessed. I thank God for giving me some, good talent, but a lot of that was film studies. Most of the time, we knew exactly where we were supposed to be at the time, and that made everything a lot easier for us. It slowed the game down for us, and Coach Saban did a good job. Well, I was a quarterback, so before I got there, I had a guy sitting on your right did a great job of teaching me how to study film and being able to, see defense and coverages like that, and all that translate over to my defensive back position, and I was able to, do the same thing there. Kept tips and tendencies to be able to get close to the receivers and make plays on the ball.
And when I think about you, Corey, I not only think of preparation, but also dependability and responsibility as well. And when I look back at you going through the recruiting process, you did not sign on the national letter day. In fact, there was one Saturday you were supposed to be at LSU, and you didn't show up. And, but you had a plan in mind. And I remember talking to Coach Saban for 45 minutes, trying to find where you were. And then his wife called me. And that's the longest I've ever talked to Sabans in my life for an hour and a half. But you really had a plan in mind and a vision in mind, not just for your football playing, but the entire recruiting process. And as this is a recruiting show, talk about the time that you took to make sure that LSU was the right choice.
Yeah, I was the last guy to actually sign in my letter commit to go to LSU. They was patient with me. Coach Saban, really let me, make a decision. And I thought it wasn't just a 4-year decision that we was making. It was a 40-year decision. That's what we like to think about it. We had these good conversations. Once my dad knew I was coming here, he talked about how many times Coach came and visit him and waking him up, getting ready for his work and preparation like that, to get my decision right. But it's good for a guy, to weigh all his options. You know what I mean? And I had, basketball options as well. But, just to be able to know what he want to do, not just for the next 4 years of his life, but how he can make, a life, 40 years, down the line for his family and everything like that. So for any guy that's, I always want to tell him, no, make a 40-year decision and not a 4-year decision, and that's what I did.
You had an opportunity to play with BCS National Championship 2003 with LSU, and also a couple of Super Bowls, 42 and 46, against a team that most people think might be one of the best all time, against the New England Patriots. And that 46 National Championship Super Bowl year, Corey, you had 6 interceptions, which led the team. That was a very, very special time. And those teams you played with the Giants, with Eli, one of them was that David Tyree catch in the Super Bowl. Those were very special teams.
Very. I mean, and like I said, it was just like those, championship games at St. James for me. There's a bunch of men coming together for one goal, being selfless, and we was able to accomplish that. And we did it on a couple of times. And I can't, a lot of people say, which one is better, the high school, the college, or the Super Bowls? And they all equally as good. It was separate people coming together to, get that goal, but it's all a blessing.
And looking back, I very often look back at that 2007 Super Bowl, especially because people need to remember the foursome of receivers that you went up against. And that was really the turnaround when you look at the common thread in 2007 and 2011, the strings of coverage that you had that allowed the front to get to the quarterback. But in 2007, y'all beat the Bucs in the first round. You covered Joey Galloway man-to-man all over the field. The next week you go to Dallas, beat Dallas, cover Terrell Owens all over the field, both sides. Beat Green Bay the next week, where you intercept Favre in overtime, Donald Driver the whole game, and then Randy Moss in the Super Bowl. That was really one of the key points. That was one of the great cornerback runs to me in history, was that 2007 season, but it all goes back to the preparation, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. All goes back to preparation. And earlier that season, I started that season, but was taken out of the starting lineup. So just to be able to stay focused and keep grinding and working on my craft, and having the coach at the time, it was Spagnuolo, believe in me. He said, it's time for you to go. I wasn't starting the week right before the playoff, and he was like, you have Joey Galloway all over the field. Imano, wherever he go, you go. So like you talked about being dependable and responsible, I love those words right there. Those big words, and I try to pride myself on them. But that's what he came in. He said, that's your responsibility. I need you to shut the opposing team's best receiver down. And, as a cornerback, you live up for those challenges and stuff like that. And I went out there, and I wanted to just do good for my team and put them in a position to be able to be successful. And, the rest is history.
Corey, this is a recruiting show, and a lot of recruits have been on this show. A lot of males and females watch this show. What message would you have for if you were going through the process now, having been through it? What would a recruit look for? What's the questions they need to ask, and what's most important in this process?
Well, I think it's all about the recruit, getting as much information as possible to prepare themselves to make a good decision. Ultimately, it's their decision. So I know a lot of parents, and, they have a lot of people around the athletes now, but ultimately it has to be your decision because you have to live with that decision. And I can tell you, my daddy was leading a little further to Nebraska at the time, and I had to make a decision for myself. And I would tell every recruit, make a decision for yourself. Be selfless. Know that it's not only a 4-year commitment, it's a 40-year commitment, and it can change your life.
And your parents have been so influential, not only in your life, your sister's life, who played at St. James as well. And he was a chief quarterback of the Booster Club, and your mother worked at the school for years and years. Talk about the influence that both of them had. They allowed you to be who you are, but yet there was always that guiding light.
Always the guiding light. Hats off to them. I appreciate everything they did for me. Just to be able to let me expose me to the different things that they exposed me to, the different lessons that they gave me, and you know, I just wanted to make them proud. And I went out there every day just to try. And I wasn't perfect, you know what I mean? It was always a work in progress, but I just wanted to make those my parents proud, and you know, that's why I ended up going back for my senior year, graduating from LSU. And like I said, it's just a blessing, you know. They put a smile on your mama's face, not only by career-wise, but you know, also getting your education and stuff like that as well.
Now you know, even though you've played 9 years, 2 Super Bowls, you going back to school to get your master's. That education is real important, isn't it?
I would tell every kid, man, education is the key to success. You know what I mean? And just knowing, you know, where you're going, what you've been through, and you know, knowing everything about the game. You know what I mean? Being a complete student athlete. That's what I would tell every kid. You got to be a complete student athlete. And I think when I decided to be the complete student athlete, I didn't only get well on the field, but my grades got better. Everything picked up, and I think that made me a better person.
And now that you're retired from the league, you're continuing to do good works at the Corey Webster Foundation.
Yes, sir.
Talk about how important that is to you now and what's involved in that.
Well, I think everything that we did, it was, you know, had to be selfless. And I think, you know, serving the community is so important. Trying to invest in the generation that comes behind us and making the world a much better place than I found it. And, you know, God has blessed me tremendously with a platform, and I want to be able to use that platform in a positive way to reach generations and make this world a better place so they don't have to go through the same mistakes that I have made. They can learn from my experience or learn from experience that I have gathered over the years, and I want to be able to tell those stories to them, and that's what we're doing with the Corey Webster Foundation, you know, mentoring, different things like that, reaching out to the community in any way that we can. We want to be accessible to them. I don't want to think that they can't touch me and be hands-on to me. I want them to be able to touch me, and I think that's so important for everybody to do.
And that's Corey Webster, St. James, LSU, New York Giants, and our Corey Webster Foundation. Thank you for being here with us, Corey. A true Lamarck Ford legend of the game. What a great example that he is, not only for youth, but for us as old people as well. Thank you for being here today, Corey. We're here at NOLA Motorsports Park in the karting lounge, a fantastic facility that deserves your attention. We're going to be right back after this timeout.